Welcome to Study Kendra. Today we will talk about Class 10th Chapter 1, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. First, we will know what is nationalism. Nationalism refers to the feeling of oneness and common consciousness that emerges when people living in a common territory share the same historical, political, and cultural backgrounds. People may be speaking different languages, but the love for their nation keeps them together. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Frederic Sorrieu and his Visualisation. Frederic Sorrieu, a French artist, drew a series of 4 prints that depicted his dream of a world made up of democratic and social republics in 1848. The first print shows the people of Europe and America marching in a long train and offering homage to the Statue of Liberty as they pass it. The torch of enlightenment was carried by a female figure in one hand and the Charter of the Rights of Man in the other. On the earth in the foreground lie the shattered remains of the symbols of absolutist institutions. In Sorrieu's utopian vision, the peoples of the world are grouped as distinct nations, identified through their flags and national costume. The procession was led by the United States and Switzerland, followed by France and Germany. Following the German people are the people of Austria, the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, Lombardy, Poland, England, Ireland, Hungary, and Russia. From the heavens above, Christ, saints, and angels gaze upon the scene. They have been used by the artist to symbolize fraternity among the nations of the world. During the 19th century, nationalism emerged as a force which brought huge changes in the political and mental world of Europe. The end result of these changes was the emergence of the nation-state. The French Revolution and the idea of the nation. The first clear expression of nationalism came with the French Revolution in 1789. France, as you would remember, was a full-fledged territorial state in 1789 under the rule of an absolute monarch. In 1789, nationalism came with the French Revolution, and the political and constitutional changes led to the transfer of sovereignty from the monarchy to a body of French citizens. Various measures and practices were introduced, such as the ideas of la patrie and the citizens. A new French flag, the tricolor, was chosen to replace the former one. Democracy was destroyed in France by Napoleon, and the Civil Code of 1804, known as the Napoleonic Code, did away with all privileges based on birth, established equality before the law, and secured the right to property. Increased taxation, censorship, and forced conscription into the French armies required to conquer the rest of Europe, all seemed to outweigh the advantages of the administrative changes. The making of nationalism in Europe. If you look at the map of mid-18th century Europe, you will find that there were no nation-states as we know them today. Germany, Italy, and Switzerland were divided into kingdoms, duchies, and cantons whose rulers had their autonomous territories. The aristocracy and the new middle class. Socially and politically, a landed aristocracy was the dominant class on the continent. The members of this class were united by a common way of life that cut across regional divisions. The aristocracy was the dominant class on the continent politically and socially. Most of the population was made up of the peasantry. Industrialization began in England in the second half of the 18th century. New social groups came into being: a working class population and a middle class made up of industrialists, business people, and professionals. What did liberal nationalism stand for? The term liberalism derives from the Latin root liber, meaning free. The right to vote and to get elected was granted exclusively to property-owning men. Men without property and all women were excluded from political rights. A wave of economic nationalism strengthened the wider nationalist sentiments growing at the time. In 1834, a customs union or Zollverein was formed at the initiative of Prussia and joined by most of the German states. The union abolished tariff barriers and reduced the number of currencies from over 30 to 2. A new conservatism after 1815. In 1815, European governments were driven by a spirit of conservatism. Conservatives believed in monarchy, the church, social hierarchies, and property, and that the family should be preserved. A modern army, an efficient bureaucracy, a dynamic economy, and the abolition of feudalism and serfdom could strengthen the autocratic monarchies of Europe. In 1815, representatives of the European powers, Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria met in Vienna to draw up a settlement for Europe. The Bourbon dynasty was restored to power, and France lost the territories it had annexed under Napoleon. One of the serious issues taken up by the liberal nationalists, who criticized the new conservative order, was freedom of the press. The Revolutionaries. In 1815, secret societies were formed in many European states to train revolutionaries and spread their ideas. Revolutionaries opposed monarchical forms and fought for liberty and freedom. The Italian revolutionary Giuseppe Mazzini, born in Genoa in 1807, founded two more underground societies, the first being Young Italy in Marseille. Secondly, he founded Young Europe in Bern, whose members were like-minded young men from Poland, France, Italy, and the German states. Metternich described him as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. We will continue to further topics such as the Age of Revolutions, 1830 to 1848, the making of Germany and Italy, nationalism and imperialism. So till then, stay tuned with us and keep learning, and wait for part 2. If you find this video helpful and informative, please share and hit the subscribe button.